As an employer, you might have questions about what might be possible to provide somebody as a reasonable adjustment. The first example is about looking at somebody's work pattern if they happen to have seizures during the night or in the early hours of the morning. Some people have a seizure pattern that only involves this type of seizure. This would therefore make it more difficult for them to get into work first thing. An example of a reasonable adjustment would be that you altered their core hours so they always started work a little bit late, or that you had an arrangement whereby they could start work later on days when they had had seizures the previous night. Related to this is that if a person has had a seizure in the night and they live alone, they are likely to have gone straight back into really deep sleep that they might have stayed in for a number of hours. I've had helpline calls from people who've said, this has happened to me, I've rung in sick as soon as I could, but they said, well, that's no good, you should have rung in at 9 o'clock in the morning when I was, sparko and just not in a position to be able to ring. So another reasonable adjustment would be allowing them to ring in when it was physically possible for them to do so. Memory is something that people with epilepsy can sometimes have a problem with as well. Absolutely not everybody, but for some people it can be a problem. This can be related to their seizure activity or to their seizure medication. A really helpful thing for a person who might have memory problems is literally just to write things down. So if you've had a meeting with them, give them a written copy of the basic agreements that you've got or the action points, or to follow something up with an email. This is likely to make that person feel much less anxious, and when they're less anxious, they're likely to be able to remember things better. So if you are employing somebody who drives as part of their job, there are a few different things that you can bear in mind depending on the exact context of the job. Working from home is an obvious example that we know so much more about now. Working from the office might be an option if it's not necessary for people to do everything out and about. One more solution might be to double up. So, for example, if the person with epilepsy has a great deal of experience but currently not able to drive, maybe you could match them with somebody who's a new recruit who doesn't know so much. They come along, do the driving, learn a great deal more on the job. It's a win-win for everybody. Just one more thing I wanted to talk about was lone working. I've certainly spoken with people who have been able to make an arrangement with their employee whereby they have some sort of device that would let somebody know if they were having a seizure, and that person could then come and check if they were okay and needed any help. So those are a few examples of things that you might want to consider when you're looking at reasonable adjustments.